Welcome to Newtuckies. My name is Mrs. Ramla. In this video, I will be looking at the Feb-March 2017 paper, the question 2. Right, this video is to help the matrics prepare for the exam. But before you watch this video, make sure you have the question paper and the memo with you at hand. Right, let's look at question 2. The diagram below represents the human female reproductive system. So, 211, they want you to identify part C. Now, part C, that is the vagina. So what I've done is I have the question on one page and then I have the memo. So we can go between the two. Right, so question C we know is the vagina. It is a canal, so don't be shocked if the memo also has vaginal canal, vagina. But look, the memo does not want birth canal. So don't use the word birth canal because birth canal is not necessarily, the vagina is not necessarily birth canal all the time. Right, 212. State one function of part D. Part D is the uterus. So think of your one best function. Right. Let's see what the memo has. Protects the developing fetus. Contracts to push the baby out during labor. Allows for implantation of the embryo. Contracts to push out blood or the lining during menstruation. Here, my advice to you is please use the word fetus, baby, and embryo in the correct places. If you mix them up, you won't get your marks. Right. Name the hormone secreted by part B. Now, if you look at part B is the ovary, right? So name the hormone secreted by the ovary during the first week of the menstrual cycle. And that is obviously estrogen. Yes, estrogen. Then, 214. State how the hormone mentioned or named in question 213, which is estrogen, influences part D. Now, we know estrogen makes the endometrium lining thick, vascular, glandular for implantation. Okay. So yes, causes the initial thickening of the endometrium, vascular, glandular. There you go. I just added the reason for implantation. Always learn to write statement and reason. Then 215. During tubal ligation, part A, which is the fallopian tube, is cut. Now, if it's cut, how will that prevent pregnancy? So the sperm, if the ovum is here and the sperm is coming, it won't be able to reach the ovum. So no fertilization, no pregnancy. And the ovum won't be able to move over this little hindrance. So no fertilization, no pregnancy. Let's see what the memo has. Yes, sperm cannot reach the ovum, no fertilization. Or the ovum cannot move into the fallopian tube, cannot be reached by the sperm, no fertilization. Right, section B, question 2.1, not too bad. All right, 2.2, an investigation. Let's look at the investigation question. An investigation was carried out to determine the effects of smoking during pregnancy on the baby's birth weight. Babies born weighing 2,499 grams or less have a low birth weight. The table below compares the percentage of babies with a low birth weight born to mothers who smoked with mothers who did not smoke in a certain city in 2009. There's your birth weight, percentage of total births for mothers who smoked, mothers who didn't smoke. There's the grams, the different birth weights and grams, in grams. 221. Draw a histogram to represent the percentage of births in each weight group born to mothers who smoked. Okay. Now, this is what your histogram will look like. You will have your birth on the one side as your dependent, birth weight in grams with the different births. You'll have your zero, your scale points. You'll have your heading, and the histogram has no spaces, and the bars are of equal width. So that is what will give you your 6 marks. That is not too bad. 222. Why were babies that weighed more than 2,500 grams at birth not included in the investigation? So we look here. Babies at this weight have a low birth weight. Why didn't we include the babies with 2,500? Because they are already normal or healthy weight. Okay, so there's no need for us to include them. State a general conclusion for the investigation based on the data. So you must have percentages, you must have mothers who smoked and mothers who did not smoke in your general conclusion. Right, you could have had the total percentage of low birth weight babies born to mothers who smoked are higher than those born to mothers who did not smoke, yes. Or the total percentage of low birth weight babies born to mothers who did not smoke was lower than those born to mothers who smoked. So the other way around. Smoking versus not smoking. 224. Describe how chemicals from cigarette smoke are able to reach the baby's blood from the mother's blood for 2 marks. Nice question. The chemicals dissolve in the mother's blood, yes. Moves across the placenta, through the umbilical cord into the baby's blood, and enters by diffusion. Very nice, but look at the memo. Only wants any two, so there's many possible answers. Okay, question 2.2, also not that bad. 2.3, let's read. In a species of sea turtles shown below, the females leave the water to lay their eggs in a nest on the beach. The female makes the nest by digging a hole with the hind legs. The female is known to lay about 100 or more eggs. After the eggs have been laid, the female covers the nest with sand to hide it from predators and leaves the eggs to incubate on their own. It takes about 2 months for the hatchlings to emerge from the nest. The hatchlings must try to make it to the sea safely. Only about 10% of the hatchlings usually make it to the sea safely and survive to reproduce. Then we have a graph below that shows the percentage of survivors in a sea turtle population over a period of time. So, 2.3. Write on whether type of reproduction in sea turtles is oviparous, viviparous, or ovoviviparous. Now you can see here. It says here they lay their eggs. So they can only be oviparous, because they lay their own eggs. So let's see. Oviparous, eggs are laid. Now, let's look at the next question. Give a reason for your answer. I already answered that. The shape of the graph will differ if there was parental care. How would the shape of the graph differ if there were parental care? Explain your answer. Now, this graph usually comes out in grade 11. Now, we're still going to discuss the answer because they could still ask you grade 11 work in the paper. But now, if you look at this here, the percentage of survivors decreased drastically because there's no parental care. Right. Now, the graph will decrease more slowly at the beginning. And it won't decrease as quickly so it will be more convex. So if we go backwards, meaning it will decrease more slowly, so it will be more convex, so it will decrease more slowly. So that is what they mean. Explain your answer because there'll be more parental care. So let's go to our memo. The offspring are protected by the parents for a longer time. More of them will survive to become adults. Okay, not too bad. Okay, now 2.4. The diagram below shows part of the human ear. There is a human ear. 2.4.1. Identify parts B. Now parts B, we don't have to go to the memo and look. That you should know is the semicircular canals. C. Very important, know how you spell it, eustachian tube. And D, that's the oval window. It's just above the round window. Let's have a look. Semicircular canals, eustachian tube, oval window. Fenestra ovalis, you don't have to know. Just learn the word oval window. Okay. Explain how parts A and D together are adapted to amplify sound. So they're talking about the oval window and the tympanic membrane. Now, the tympanic membrane is larger. It has a larger surface area. Oval window has a smaller surface area. So if there's something large and something small, that from when the sound waves travel from something large to small, that is what concentrates the sound or the vibrations. Or most importantly, the sound waves. I'd rather say sound waves. Okay, so, and that's what causes amplification of sound. One advantage of the middle ear being filled with air. So the middle ear is filled with air. Why? That's to allow the ossicles to vibrate freely. And if the ossicles can vibrate freely, that can cause the vibrations to move into the inner ear and also cause amplification of sound. So very, very nice question. Okay. So that was the question here on 2.4 on the ear. 2.5. Read the extract below. A link between concussion and brain damage. In 2002, a former American footballer was found dead in his truck. The doctor who handled the autopsy discovered that the football player had severe brain damage and that his death was caused by repeated blows to the head or repeated concussions. He called this disorder chronic traumatic encephalopathy. A more recent study was conducted, which involves the brains of 165 people who played football at high school, college, or professional level. The study found evidence of CTE in 131 of the brains. 2.5.1. The part of the brain affected by CTE is the cerebrum. 2 possible symptoms of this disorder. Right, let's look at it. That's the cerebrum. So the cerebrum is responsible for memory, judgment. So they will lose this. It's also responsible for picking up senses. They will lose that as well. And it's responsible also for voluntary actions, which they will have a loss of. So can you see? You take the function. If you lose that part of the brain functioning, you just say loss of higher thought processes, loss of sensation, loss of voluntary actions. Okay. Right. One way in which the brain is protected, that's easy. You could have said the meninges, the skull, the cerebrospinal fluid, whichever one you remember first. Okay. 253. Why CTE does not usually affect essential life processes such as breathing or the heart rate. That you should know. CTE affects the cerebrum, but you should know breathing and heart rate is controlled by the medulla oblongata, and the medulla oblongata is not damaged now by a concussion. Okay, that was not too bad. Okay, 2.6. TSH and thyroxine are both secretions of endocrine glands, namely the pituitary gland, hypophysis, and the thyroid gland, respectively. 261. Where would you look for evidence to detect the levels of TSH and thyroxine in the human body? These are endocrine glands, so the hormones will be in the blood. 262 is an amazing question. A high level of TSH is detected in the human body. 2 possible causes of high levels of TSH in the body. So this is an amazing question, and I love this question. So write it down in your book that you must know how to do to answer. So let's see. Pituitary gland is malfunctioning. Very nice. So it will secrete a large amount of TSH. The thyroid gland will secrete less thyroxine. This will have a negative feedback effect on the pituitary gland to secrete less TSH. That is amazing. That question is amazing. So it's a really very good higher order question. Thank you for joining me and watching this video and preparing you for your allowing me to prepare you for your exam. Join me and watch all my other videos as well.